Hey, welcome parents. So you've decided to fly long distance with your toddler and you're feeling a bit of excitement but mostly anxiety. I am with you on this one because we recently flew our 21-month-old to Europe on a 9-hour flight from Toronto to Stockholm. And we were feeling the exact same emotions that you're feeling right before our trip. Now, flying with a baby was not new to us. If you're familiar with this channel, you probably saw the video I made in early 2024 when we flew from Toronto to India on a 17-hour flight when our child was just 3 months old. If you've not seen that video and your child is still a young infant, meaning under 3 to 8 months, I'd recommend watch that video instead. It's more suitable. I'll link it in the description. But we have tailored this video toward early toddlers between 14 to 23-month-old range. When your child is walking, won't fit the bassinet, picky eater, throws tantrums, you know how it is. And believe me, even though we did it once before, our son now at 21 months old is a completely different person, as I'm sure your toddler would be too. So the anxiety that we felt this time was pretty much the same intensity, if not more. But with some minor challenges, in general, our experience was good. So to make planning and flying easy for you and to give you hope that you can do this too, here I am sharing my entire experience again. Starting from booking the flight, getting the right seats for us and our toddler, the long list of toddler essentials to pack for the flight, diapers, creams, wipes, snacks, toys, all that jazz. Then documents to carry, managing your luggage and carry-ons, the travel gear we picked for him, what restraint device to use and what safety standards to keep note of, the complete airport experience from baggage check, travel gear check, security check to managing the toddler throughout the airport. Then boarding the flight, keeping the toddler entertained, feeding, managing tantrums, sleep time, making the bed on his seat while keeping sanity check on ourselves. It's going to be an adventurous ride. Let's get to it. Alright, so when booking the flight, your first focus is usually seat selection, and that will depend on your toddler's age. So you broadly have two options here. If your toddler is under 2 years, meaning under 24 months, then technically still considered an infant by most airline standards. And therefore we'll have two options. Either infant on lap, where you just hold them on your lap for the entire duration of the flight, or buying a separate seat for the infant. And number two, if your toddler is over 2 years old, say between 24 to 28 months, late toddlerhood, then your best option would be just to buy a separate seat for the baby on the plane. So for the infant toddlers in the 13 to 23 month range, let's take an example. Say you're traveling from Toronto. I'm booking the seats directly with Air Canada, but the logic will be the same wherever you book. Let's select round trip. Say you are 3 people traveling, mom, dad, and child. So here you'll select 2 adults, and here you select this infant on lap option. Then you select the dates, then I'll select this premium economy just as an example, and here is the price breakdown. As you can see, with the infant on lap option, you're only paying 10% of the adult fare cost. So mom and dad pay full price, but the infant on lap only pays 10% of the full price. Definitely a cheaper option. Now let's say you want to have a separate seat for the infant. So instead of this lap option, you just select infant in seat. Keeping everything else constant, here is the price breakdown. As you can see, the fare jumps up almost by $2,600. And that is because with this option, you're paying about 75% adult fare as opposed to just 10% if you were to choose the infant on lap option. Now, just to not leave out toddlers age 2 and above, say you have a 28-month-old, they're considered late toddlers from age 2 to 3. You'll have to select this option, child ages 2 to 11. Remember, for 2 and above, you have to book a separate seat as they're not considered infants by most airlines, and so the infant on lap option will not be available if your child is 2 or over. And so for this option as well, fare is about the same as the infant on seat option. It's slightly higher due to airport charges for all 3 people instead of just 2 adults, because infants are generally exempt from most airport charges. So that was the cost comparison. Now clearly from a financial perspective, the infant on lap option is a clear winner. But that might not always be the most logical one. This option actually makes sense when you're traveling with a younger infant, say in the 3 to 6 months range. This is what most parents choose. Reason being, it's the cheapest obviously. You only pay 10% of the adult fare for the baby. And number two, for most airlines, you can get a bassinet for your little one to sleep in comfortably. Again, everything about flying with a younger infant is already covered in this video that I talked about earlier. So if that's the stage you're in, then go check that video out. I'll link it in the description. But in this video, remember our focus is on older infants between the 14 to 23 month range, and that is a completely different ballgame. So let's compare those options. Alright, so if you go with the infant toddler on lap option, yes, it is going to be cheaper because you don't need to buy them a separate ticket. But the reality is, at this age, they want to move, kick, climb, explore. So keeping them bound on your lap for 10 plus hours can slowly start to feel like a punishment for both the baby and the parent holding the baby. Sleeping will also be harder because most toddlers this age don't just easily crash on your shoulder anymore, and you're not going to get the bassinet for your toddler. Remember, bassinets are usually meant for infants under 6 months of age who weigh less than 12 kilograms and cannot sit upright by themselves. So almost all toddlers 15 months and up will just disqualify for a bassinet. Now, this was truly a game changer. At 21 months old, our toddler is fairly spatially aware, and having his own seat gave him the space and independence he usually needs to be relaxed. And it also made it so much easier for mom and dad to rest, eat, breathe, and do restroom runs. Now, we did have him on lap for shorter duration flights within Europe, such as Stockholm to Switzerland and back, and that was okay, very doable, precisely because these flights were just about 2 to 3 hours, very manageable on lap. But for the international flight, 9 hours was a clear no-no. And that's why we chose to buy him his own seat. We knew that after a 9-hour flight to Europe, he would be exhausted, so we at least wanted to give him the chance to rest comfortably in his own space, so that once he lands in Europe, he can adjust to the jet lag and the change in time zones quickly. And that actually worked. So my recommendation, if you can absorb the cost, get your toddler their own seat. It's going to open up several options for providing them comfort during the flight, and that will make a world of difference, trust me. I'll explain more on that later. Alright, now on to the location of the seats. So here's the plain seat map for reference. So now for location, we usually prefer the bulkhead seats option. Now, bulkhead seats are usually located in the first row of the economy class, right behind these dividers that you see that separate the various seating classes with each other. This is economy class, so this is the first row, also known as the bulkhead row. Similarly, this is the premium economy class, and this is the first row, the bulkhead row, right behind this divider that separates the business class and the premium economy class. So these front row seats are called as bulkhead seats. And these dividers you see is where the bassinet gets installed. If you look at the seat map, it'll usually tell you where the bassinet option is. Again, the bassinet option can be availed for younger infants under 6 months old and weighing less than 12 kilograms. Details on how to book these bulkhead seats and how to get the bassinet, how to install it, everything is covered in the video that I talked about. It's also linked below. But again, back to older infants or early toddlers who, even though will not qualify for a bassinet, these bulkhead seats are still great because they give you more floor space for toys, diaper bag access, or other bags, managing the million baby items that you're carrying, entertaining your toddler, and for your toddler as well as for parents to have some space to stretch around. But it's important to note that being able to choose these bulkhead seats or the front row seats depends on whether you're taking the infant on lap option or the infant on their own seat option. Which brings us to the restraint device section. So now if your toddler is under 2 years old, technically still considered an infant, and assuming you are getting your toddler their own separate seat, then most airlines will require you to have a restraint device on board. And as far as the rules are concerned, you generally have 2 options here. Number 1 is to get a car seat on board. It can be attached on the plane seat, and then the toddler is meant to be in their car seat during takeoff, landing, and turbulence. And you'll need to book a window seat for this, as you're not going to have car seats in aisle or middle seats. Also, these bulkhead rows and these rows near the emergency exits are usually not meant for car seat installation. So you'll probably have to book a window seat in one of these middle rows behind the front row. That's where you'll be allowed to install the baby's car seat. Now, if you just want to baggage check your car seat because you don't want to lug it around throughout the airport and you don't want the hassle of installing the car seat on the airplane seat, then another option for you is to get an airplane harness. Airplane harnesses also work as a restraint device on the plane. They are super lightweight and can roll up small enough to be tucked in your diaper bag. They are fairly quick to install also on most standard airplane seats. I recommend this AmSafe Cares harness. It's FAA approved and most airlines allow it. If you're traveling from Canada, this is the only one they allow. Now, if you buy this off Amazon, make sure to double check the labels as there are a lot of fake ones out there. If you're confused or not satisfied with what's available on Amazon, then best option would be to just buy it straight from the AmSafe website. I'll link it below. So again, just to recap, if you're buying a separate seat for your toddler under the age of 2, you will require either a car seat or a harness to be taken on board. You will not be allowed to board without either one of them. And if your child is 2 years old or above, meaning late toddler, then they can be on their own seat and they're not really required to have a car seat or harness. But a car seat or a harness, even for a child 2 years or above, is still safer and generally recommended. Now, car seats are pretty big objects, and when you're already handling a bazillion items with your baby, then another humongous car seat is the last thing you need. So I'd like to recommend what we used, the Senera Next convertible car seat from Costco. You'd be surprised how lightweight this is. Based on all the research we did, this seat is the most recommended for travel with toddlers. As you can see, he immediately liked it when we were doing trials at home. By the way, please do these trials at home before going to the airport. Practice closing and opening the buckles, learn where different buttons and labels are so that you're not surprised at the airport. Again, don't be taken by its size. You only know how lightweight this is when you pick it up. Now, we decided to get it new because we also wanted it for the future. And I'll leave the Amazon link in the description if you want it brand new. But again, Facebook Marketplace works just as well if you only need it for a short trip and already have a good regular car seat at home that your child is comfortable with. Now, whatever car seat you are going to be using, it has to meet the safety standards as well. For example, if your car seat is Canadian manufactured, make sure it's FAA approved, certified to be in flight for most airlines, and it must have this label you see on the side with this maple leaf and the letter 213 and 213.1. This sticker is the national safety mark in Canada. This will be acceptable in Europe too if that's where you're going from Canada. If your car seat is US manufactured, then look for a label that says FAA approved or something like this. This Restraint is certified for use in motor vehicles and aircraft, and this should be in red letters. Alright, next up is another major travel buddy, the travel stroller. This is the Boogaboo Butterfly Ultra Compact Stroller. Honestly, made our entire trip so much easier. It was a lifesaver in the airport. What really sold us on it was how swiftly it would open and fold down in literally 1 second. It's also super lightweight, as you can see, and moves like a breeze, so carrying it through security or gate checking would be no hassle at all. And the best part, it actually fits in the overhead compartment on most planes. So you can take it even inside the plane, no waiting at special baggage claim. And not only during the airport, but also this stroller was our daily driver during our entire time in Europe. We used it all throughout Stockholm as well as Switzerland, in the cities, on the streets, on cobblestone pathways, on buses and trains, and it handled everything really well. Its tires have got some good endurance, and its extended canopy works great to shield the baby from the sun quite well. I'll leave the link to the exact one we bought down in the description so you can check it out. So here are the items that we packed for our 9-hour flight, all as carry-ons, and I'll leave Amazon links down below in the description if you want to pick any of these out. Starting off with Hygiene Essentials. So in our diaper bag, we had diapers, so pack accordingly to your baby's routine. Our son at 21 months old would go through about 3 to 4 a day. So for a 10-day trip to Europe, we packed around 55 total. We put 10 in the diaper bag, readily accessible, and the rest we put in the big bags that we checked in at the luggage counter. Then a fresh pack of water wipes for the flight, and another pack in the checked-in luggage. Then about 3 to 4 Dr. Brown's 240 ml bottles for storing milk or mixing formula when needed. Again, these numbers could vary depending on the length of your trip, so plan accordingly. Then a portable changing pad for diaper changes, some bibs for quick cleanup, and some disinfectant wipes for cleaning the changing stations in airports before use. Then a sippy cup, some pacifiers, and even our little sound machine. Now, a quick note about milk and water, because I know a lot of parents worry about this. So if your baby is under 1 year old, then most parents prefer boiled or distilled water. We did that too when our boy was young. But once your child is a little bit older, like ours at 21 months, then their immune system is strong enough to tolerate sealed bottled water as well, which you can buy at any store. So from home in Canada, we took about 1.5 liters of distilled water for the flight. And then our destinations were Stockholm and Switzerland, where water is already very pure. So we knew that we would be able to use the sealed bottled water, which we could buy at any store, or even tap water, because it is really that good in these countries. But if you're flying somewhere where tap water is not that reliable, say in India, then I would just recommend use bottled water, meaning mineral water that you can buy. And if you're ever unsure, just boil the mineral water as well to make sure that it's the safest. Now, as for milk, our boy takes cow's milk as well as formula at 21 months. But just to keep things simple for the flight, we stuck with the formula of his choice. We carried one 850 grams of this Go and Grow Step 3 formula container by Similac. Obviously, you should stick to the brand that your baby prefers. One fresh container easily lasts us the entire 10 days. We checked the main box in the main luggage and had the remaining formula taken out in these small formula containers for quick mix and feed in the airport and during the flight. These formula containers are a huge hit among parents. I'll link them below if you want to pick them out too. Alright, next up are a few soft muslin clothes as blankets to use on the plane, a few sleep sacks if your baby is used to it, then a few burp clothes, and a pair or two change of clothes in case of blowouts or throw-ups in flight. And mom and dad, make sure you have some extra change of clothes as well. The throw-ups have a wonderful knack of finding the right spot on your favorite t-shirt. Now, snacks are obviously a must. And don't rely too much on airplane food. It's pretty high in preservatives and can make your baby gassy and uncomfortable during the flight. So we brought this multi-compartment snack box with his favorites that we packed at home. And here's a tip from my wife: pack small treats like crackers, fruit purees, even some candies and Oreos. Obviously, you want to pack mostly healthy snacks, but a few sugary snacks are okay too. Don't stress about sugar during the flight. These are your emergency tools for when your toddler is inconsolable. It's just for the flight, not everyday life. Alright, on to lotions, creams and medicines. So we also carried a small pouch with baby lotion and a diaper rash cream, sunscreen because our trip to Europe was in summer, afterbite cream in case he got bitten playing at parks in Stockholm or Switzerland, definitely infant Tylenol or Advil with a syringe for easy dosing, baby rub for a runny nose, and even a mini Tide stick for quick cleanups. And take these nail clippers to destroy those little monstrous nails that will creep up during the trip. Alright, moving on to in-flight entertainment. So we got these Power Locus over-ear headphones. They work as great earmuffs to help with air pressure changes during takeoff and landing. And they're also proper Bluetooth headphones with safe volume limits. So your baby could watch shows on the iPad comfortably. And the battery life is pretty solid. One charge lasted the entire flight. Now for a 10+ hour flight, you are going to have to find ways to keep your toddler entertained. And if you don't allow screens at this point, you have not introduced them for your toddler, that's totally fine. More non-screen options coming up in a second. But if you are going to be using screens like iPad or other tablets, then I do have some recommendations for you. So in your phone or tablet, you can download some shows and games in advance. If your kids' favorite shows are on YouTube, then you can also get a YouTube Premium free trial so that it will let you download those videos to your device. And obviously, once back from the trip, you can cancel the subscription. And besides these shows, depending on the age of your toddler, there are also a few interactive apps such as Khan Academy Kids or PBS Kids games that can be downloaded from the App Store for zero to very little cost, but they can prove very effective in keeping the toddler engaged during the flight. Now, what a lot of parents have reported, and this was true for us too, is to have a balanced mix of screen and non-screen options. So here are some non-screen options that we packed. Starting with drawing tables. So no glare, no mess, it's a single click reset. Then watercoloring books. Again, doesn't create a mess, very clean. Then magnetic cubes and tiles. This is usually a huge hit among toddlers. Then some puffy stickers. Your toddler could stick them on the booklet and even on the airplane window. And they peel right off without leaving marks. And of course, a few toy cars, which are his personal favorite. Now a pro tip, introduce the new shows and the new toys that you get for your baby directly on the flight. So don't let your toddler experience those while you're packing for the trip. the surprise element is very effective in capturing their attention and then sustaining it for a little longer. And then to put all this stuff in, you can use our favorite, the e-tronic duffel bag. We have been using it for almost 2 years now since he was an infant. It's sturdy, spacious, and very reliable. So for documents, you must carry your child's original birth certificate with you, the one that lists the names of both parents. If you're just one parent traveling, then also carry a signed and dated consent letter from the other non-traveling parent, preferably notarized to prove its authenticity, along with a copy of the ID of the other non-traveling parent. When you board for your flight, or when you land at your destination at immigration, you may be asked to present those documents. So definitely look up the consent letter requirements for both countries, the country you're traveling to as well as the country you're traveling from, when you are just one parent traveling. And there you go, all that baby stuff packed in these 2 bags. And so here is everything packed and ready to go. I know it feels like a lot, but it is a lot. You are essentially planning to keep this little self-destructive machine alive. What did you expect? Now, this little bag you see on the car seat is actually an inflatable bed for him to sleep on the airplane seat. I'll show more of this on how we use this bed once we get to the flight section of the video. And this bag under the stroller seat is a gate check bag to put the car seat or stroller in and check it either at baggage drop or at the boarding gate right before you enter the aircraft. These bags are not expensive at all. They are easily found on Amazon. They're pretty huge, very sturdy and super lightweight, and they can easily fit your car seat or stroller. Highly recommended. Right, so the first thing we did after reaching the airport was to grab one of these big airport carts to load everything. With the toddler, you don't want to be juggling bags by hand, so use these carts until you check in your luggage. Then for baggage drop, make sure to look for a family lane. You'll check your big bags here, and depending on what you're opting for, you can check your car seat and stroller here too, for free of course. And if you're not going to check your car seat or stroller here, then you can just continue to carry them through the security until the boarding gate, where you can gate check those items. Now before we move forward, I want to share a quick reality check from our trip, because even when you plan everything, things don't always go the way you expect them to. So as I mentioned earlier, our son was 21 months at the time, technically still considered an infant, and as per Air Canada rules, under 24-month babies require a restraint device on board. But here's where we made a mistake. We thought that since he's almost 2, tall enough, and not used to sleeping in the car seat anymore, we could just check the car seat with our luggage at the baggage drop, and then in flight we could just let him sleep on his inflatable bed. So we didn't really get any other restraint device, meaning we didn't get a harness. But the check-in agent at the baggage drop was pretty firm. She told us that she can't let us check the car seat if we don't have a substitute. The substitute being a harness. And no matter how hard we tried to explain to her that he's tall enough, he's not going to be comfortable for 9 hours in the car seat, please let us check the car seat. We have an inflatable bed, we could put him on that inside the plane. She wouldn't budge. She showed us the rules also on the website that clearly stated that if your child is under 24 months, meaning technically still considered an infant, they require a restraint device to be on board, either a car seat or a harness. So unfortunately, I ended up having to lug the car seat on my back all the way through the airport. Here's the flip side though. When we got to the boarding gate, the flight attendants were much more understanding. We explained our situation clearly to them and we requested them to please let us gate check the car seat because our toddler would be uncomfortable, and they agreed and they let us gate check the car seat. So the lesson here is always follow the official rules, call the airline if you are unsure, and bring what's mandatory. Sometimes the airline crew would be stricter, sometimes they would be flexible. It often depends on how you approach the situation. Stay calm, explain yourself clearly, and be prepared to adapt. And don't take your stress out on the airline staff. They're already overworked and they're just doing their job. A smile and kindness can go a long way, and in our case, it did. We'll always remember the air stewardess who we met at the gate check, who was so kind and understanding. She made our flight 1,000 times more pleasant. Now when you get to security, obviously the car seat and stroller can get through, but even the other baby items such as milk, water bottles, medicines, snacks, and other liquids such as juices can also get through the security. The standard 3 to 4 ounce liquid requirement does not apply when you're traveling with your baby. They might pull you aside to swap those items or double check the contents just to be sure, but they should not stop you from taking them through as long as they are for the baby. Once we cleared security, our focus was on letting our son burn his energy before the flight. So we let him run around in the terminal while taking diaper change breaks and also letting him snack from the snack box we had prepared at home. Oh, and another important thing, a lot of these major airports have dedicated children's play areas. They're usually marked on the airport map, or you can just ask at any information desk. Here's the one in Toronto, YYZ Terminal 1. We didn't get a chance to explore this one, but we did find the time to take our son to the one in Stockholm, Arlanda Airport, and also the one in Switzerland's Zurich Airport. Don't underestimate how truly genius these are in tiring your toddler before takeoff. Our son got to climb, crawl, slide, and burn all that wild energy in a safe space with other kids around. Some of these rooms also have lots of toys to explore. They have diaper stations, family restrooms, and feeding areas too, and often a pantry with microwaves to heat the baby's food or warm their milk. By the time we got to boarding, he was already tired enough to sit still for a while. So if you're traveling with your toddler, I highly recommend planning some extra time to hit the play area before your flight. Now, if you're planning to take the car seat inside the plane, then be sure to ask your flight crew for support in installing it on the seat. If you are gate checking your car seat, then just before entering the aircraft, you'll have the option to leave your travel gear on the side. So it's best to pack it in the gate check bag that I showed you before and then leave it for a crew member to load it in the plane's cargo. Now during taxi and takeoff, we got him comfortable with his pacifier and earmuffs. Having a feed ready, whether that's breast milk, formula, or cow's milk in a bottle, is the best way to distract toddlers and help their ears pop as the plane takes off. Now, since ours was an overnight flight, which I highly recommend with the baby, pretty soon it was time to get him ready for his bedtime. And so this is where the inflatable bed really shines. My wife used an air pump to inflate the bed. The pump comes with the bed. It's super lightweight, soft, and very low effort. Just takes about a minute or two tops to fully inflate. It gave our boy enough room to lie down and stretch, and for mom to change his clothes, and also for easy nighttime self-feeds. It was long enough so his feet did not dangle, but not too long to not fit. Even if you don't have a front row seat, but a middle seat instead, this should still fit well. It's just that if you have a very kicky baby who likes to experiment with his legs, then it's better to book the front row seats and not the middle seats so that the passengers in front of you don't get disturbed. But make sure you check the length of the bed when you are buying it to make sure that it fits the seats well. Then soon our boy had dinner with us, then a little playtime with mom and a few passengers sitting behind. Toddlers love attention on planes. His interactive games on iPad kept him busy for a while. Again, don't worry about screen time during the flight. You already have a lot going on as parents. You can put an anti-glare on your tablet and also get a hard shell heavy duty case for your iPad. I can't tell you how many times this case has saved the iPad from sacrificing its life. I'll leave some links below. Now, changing diapers on a plane with a toddler is definitely trickier than with a small infant. Most planes have 1 or 2 restrooms with a changing table that folds down over the toilet. Make sure to always lay down your own changing mat on the changing tray for hygiene. They might be uncomfortable for a short while, but unless really necessary, definitely don't change their diapers in their seat. Follow airplane etiquette so as not to disrupt the other passengers and use the restroom. Here's a quick tip. Not all restrooms inside the plane will have the changing table. So as soon as you board the plane and have a moment to catch your breath, ask one of the flight attendants which restroom has the changing table. That way, when nature calls or has already called in the case of the toddler, you don't waste time waiting outside the wrong door and can quickly get to business. Again, as I said before, you can only do so much to prepare. Each toddler is different. Even with the car seat or the airplane bed, be prepared to hold them, comfort them, soothe them. It's a strange experience for them as well. All you can do is try your best, and once the lights are off, Hope they doze off to dreamland and let you get a few hours of shut-eye as well. Now when you land, if you gate check your car seat or stroller, then you will get it back in one of two ways. Either right at the aircraft door as you exit, the crew members will have put your gear down there, or you can collect it at the airport after immigration. Most airports will have a special baggage section near the main baggage carousel where car seats and strollers are brought back. It's usually on the side of the main conveyor belt where your main luggage will be brought back. So when you land, definitely keep essentials like milk, snacks, diapers, wipes, and a carrier handy because you may have to walk a while, and then when you get at immigration, you may have to wait a little before you can finally collect your bags. By the way, if you're looking to travel to Europe also and are in need of some guidance of Schengen visa application, then here's two videos where I've covered all of that. I'll see you there.